Driving big rigs is a crazy line of work. The deepest waters are the haunting runs. Especially for us on the southwest routes. Every driver has heard the legend of ghost waving, those old worn-out highways, with tons of sharp curves, and thick fog. At night nobody dares to go near them, but some jobs just gotta be done. You gotta deliver it overnight. And that's when you need a breaker. I'm Zhang Laosan, 42 years old. Been trucking for 23 years now. The guys call me Uncle Zhang already. Not cause I look scary, but cause my luck is cursed. At 6 I killed my dad. By 12 my mom was gone too. Married at 18. And by 20 my wife ran off with another guy. A fortune teller said my fate has 7 killers. I'm born to walk between both worlds. I didn't buy any of that. Until that one thing happened. 3 months ago. I crashed my truck in the Guizhou Mountains. It was a rainy night, hauling a load of fresh fish to Chongqing. When I hit that Eagle Beak Pass winding road, my brakes just gave out. 30 tons of weight. Like a runaway horse. Blasted right through the guardrail. When I woke up, I'd been in the hospital for 3 days. The doctor said it was a miracle I survived. The truck rolled down a 600-foot cliff. The cab was crushed flat. But I only broke 2 ribs. But Xiao Liu in the passenger seat wasn't so lucky. He was just 23. Only married for 6 months. Before we left he showed me his wife's graduation pic. Said he was gonna be a dad next month. Bro Zhang. After this run I'm calling it quits. Xiao Liu said with a smile. My wife won't let me drive at night anymore. Says it's too dangerous. I couldn't bring him back alive. At the funeral, Xiao Liu's wife fainted 3 times holding his photo. His old mom grabbed my hand. Her eyes were all cried out. Lao-san. My Xiao Liu looked up to you the most. Always said he felt safe driving with you. How could he? I knelt on the ground, and bowed 3 times. From that day on, I swore I'd never touch a steering wheel again. I stayed home for 2 months. My savings were almost gone. I didn't know anything else besides driving. I was thinking about finding a security gig somewhere, when old Chen showed up at my door. Old Chen was my former boss. He ran a logistics company, with a dozen or so trucks under him. Back when I first started out, he was the one who took me on my first long haul. Lao-san. I need a favor. As soon as old Chen walked in he offered me a cigarette. His hands were shaking. I waved him off. No thanks. Just say what you need. There's a job. No. There's a life. Old Chen rubbed his face. My son Chen Hao. You know him. He started driving with me last year. I nodded. I'd met Chen Hao a few times. He was in his early 20s. Dyed his hair blonde. Drove a modified sedan, just revving the engine all day. A total rich kid. He had nothing to do with the trucking world. He got into trouble. Worse than trouble. Old Chen pulled a photo from his bag and pushed it in front of me. The photo showed a mountain road, covered in thick fog. A red heavy truck sat in the middle of the road. Looked closer. The truck's cab door was open. But there was nobody around. The creepiest part. There was a row of wet footprints on the road in front of the truck. Not coming from the door, but starting right in front of the truck's hood, and going all the way into the thick fog at the edge of the photo. Like something walked out of the fog. Went straight through the windshield, and got into the cab. Where is this? I asked. Lao-san, it's on National Highway 318, the Black Wind Ridge section. Old Chen's voice was dry. 10 days ago, Chen Hao took a job, shipping a batch of medical equipment to Chengdu. The client needed it delivered within 48 hours. Can only travel at night. You let him go alone through Dark Wind Ridge. I snapped my head up. Can you even walk that place at night? Old Chen's eyes got red. I had no clue. This kid took a side job behind my back. By the time I found out, he'd been missing for 3 days. Did you call the cops? Called them. When the cops found the truck, that's it. Old Chen pointed at the photo. The truck was spotless. The cargo was still there. Phone, wallet all in the cab. But the guy was gone. They searched the mountain. Searched for 5 days. Found nothing at all. Old Chen grabbed my hand. Third brother. I know you're not hauling anymore. But this time, I hear Dark Wind Ridge is some creepy stuff. Regular cops can't find it. You're the only one among us who got out clean as a spirit buster. Only you can. Bro Chen, I cut him off. Remember what happened with little Lu? Old Chen froze. I swore I'd never hurt anyone again. I stood up. You go on back. After old Chen left, I sat in the room all afternoon. As dusk was falling, I walked into the bedroom. Pulled out a dusty wooden box from under the bed. Opened the box. Inside were a few things. A yellowed handwritten guide on road taboos. A bronze key wrapped in red cloth. And a pitch-black peachwood charm tablet. This was left by my master. 23 years ago. I was 19. Working as a handyman at a rundown motel off the highway. An old driver always stayed at our place. Everyone called him Old Wu. Heard he'd been driving big rigs for 40 years. Never had an accident. One time I asked him his secret. He laughed. There's no secret. Just follow the rules. What rules? He didn't get into details back then. He just asked me to run a quick errand. Go pick up a package from the next town over. I rode my beat-up bike 30 miles round trip. Came back with a wooden box. Old Man Wu opened the box. Inside were just those 3 things. You're a solid kid. And you got good legs. He said while smoking a cigarette. I got no wife or kids. No use holding on to this stuff. You wanna learn to drive? I'll teach you. But there's one rule. He stared me right in the eyes. Learn this trade. And you gotta follow the rules. Some roads you can take, some roads you can't, some words you can say. Some words you can't, some stuff you can haul. Some stuff you never ever touch no matter what. I kowtowed 3 times. Respecting my teacher. After that for 3 years. I followed old Wu all over the southwest mountain road. He taught me to read the roads. Fix the truck. And taught me those rules too. After midnight, if you see someone waving by the side of the road, never ever stop. If it's a woman holding a baby, even more reason not to stop. Driving in heavy fog, if you suddenly see another figure in the rearview mirror, don't look back. Just keep driving straight. Passing by a crash-prone stretch, keep a piece of candy in your mouth. Sweet stuff keeps the bad energy down. If you really can't avoid it, and have to take a dangerous road, then hang a peach wood charm on the front of the truck. They call it leading the way. Old Wu said. Their crew has a name. They call them hazard road guides. Not guiding the vehicles, but guiding those things. Leading them off the road. So the cars behind can pass safely. People who do this job, 9 out of 10 don't end up well. On old Wu's 60th birthday he drank too much. Patted my shoulder and said, my teacher lived to 52. His teacher lived to 49. I'm 60 this year. That's good enough. 3 months later, old Wu kicked it on the Sichuan-Tibet highway. When they found his body, he was still sitting in the driver's seat. Both hands gripping the wheel. Eyes staring straight ahead. The truck wasn't even scratched. The coroner said it was a sudden heart attack. But only I knew it wasn't. That day before he took off, he gave me a call. Old 3. I got a job. Gotta make a run to the ghost hand curve. If I don't come back in 3 days, go under my bed and burn that wooden box. Master, let me go instead. You're not ready yet. Old Wu cracked a smile. Remember, this skill ends with you. Just live your life. Don't follow my path. Then he hung up. I could never call him back. I found that wooden box he talked about. But I didn't burn it. I figured I'd need it someday. Early the next morning, I went to Lao Chen's company. In the warehouse was that red heavy truck. License plate UGH3 weight. The truck was spotless. But the moment I got close, I caught a weird smell. A strange smell. Not blood. Not rot either. It was incense ash mixed with the smell of something burned before. Did the cops take samples? I asked. They did. Didn't find anything. Old Chen was right behind me. Third. Urine. I didn't answer. I pulled open the driver's door. The truck was spotless inside. Nothing like something happened. The dashboard. The gear shift. The seat. Everything was in its place. I sat down in the driver's seat. My hands on the wheel. Right then, the hairs on my neck stood up. A cold chill crept up my spine. Like someone breathing down my neck. I whipped around. The back seat was empty. Just Chen Hao's denim jacket. What's wrong? Old Chen asked nervously. Nothing. I turned back, took a deep breath. Give me Chen Hao's birth info, and the exact time he left that day. What cargo he was hauling. The client info. Everything. Wait, so you're in? I can't promise I'll find him. I jumped out of the truck. But I can tell you this. Your son's still alive. Old Chen's eyes went wide. How do you know? I pointed at the rearview mirror on the driver's side. There were faint scratches on the glass. Like from someone's fingernails. When you look close, you can make out 3 crooked words. Still alive. 3 days later, I was driving that red heavy rig, back on Old 3rd Highway 318. My gear sat in the passenger seat. The old master's peachwood talisman, tied to the rearview mirror with red string. The pages about Blackwind Ridge from my road superstition handbook. I had them memorized cold. Also got a knife soaked in dog blood, tucked in his belt. Old Chen gave me $100,000. Said it was a down payment. I didn't take it all. Just grabbed 50 grand. If I don't make it back, this money goes to your grandson. I told old Chen. If I do come back, but your son doesn't, then that's the Chen family's fate. Old Chen's eyes got red. Lao San. No matter how it turns out, I'll owe you for life. At 4 in the afternoon, I passed Yichang and started heading into the mountains. Old San's National Highway 318 was built back in the 60s. Used to be a key route connecting Sichuan and Chongqing. After the highway opened, this road got abandoned. Only a few short-haul trucks and thrill-seeking hikers use it now. The road's in rough shape, full of potholes. Some spots don't even have guardrails. Beyond that is a 1,000-foot cliff. I wasn't driving fast. Kept it at about 40 miles an hour. My eyes glued to the road and the hills on both sides. My mentor once said, driving on roads like this, 30% is skill. 70% is gut feeling. It started getting dark. At 7 in the evening, I reached the first dangerous stretch, Tiger's Mouth. It's a sharp curve. On the outside of the curve is a cliff, on the inside is a rock face. They say, when they were building the road back then, 7 workers died in a blast here. Headlights hit the rock wall, bouncing off a pale white light. I switched on the high beams, and eased through the turn. Right when the front of the car was about to swing around, a figure suddenly flashed through the high beam's light. I slammed on the brakes out of instinct, tires screeching against the ground. The car stopped less than 6 feet from the cliff's edge. I was breathing hard, staring dead ahead. Nothing there, no pedestrian, no animal, not even a single tree. But in that split second, I clearly saw a man in a blue work uniform standing in the middle of the road. He waved at me. His face was ghostly pale in the headlights, and he had a grin on his lips. Holy crap. I cursed. Shifted gears to move on. Then right then, the passenger window suddenly went thump. Like someone slapped it with their palm. I turned to look. There was a clear handprint on the glass. It was Lulu's. Water trickling down it. I stared at that print. Every muscle in my body tensed up. Outside the truck only the wind. Not a sound else. But I could feel. Something was right next to me. First rule my mentor taught me. Before midnight, weird stuff happens. You can stop. After midnight hits, you never, ever stop or else. It was 7:30 p.m. Not yet the worst hour. I took a deep breath, rolled down the window, called out, "Who's blocking the road? You want cash or ghost money?" No one answered, just the wind moaning through the valley. I grabbed a stack of spirit money from under the seat, lit it and tossed it out. Flames flickered in the breeze, then died out quick. Took the toll money. Now make way. I kept going. I'm rushing to Blackwind Ridge to save someone. Cut me some slack. As soon as I said that, a sudden whirlwind kicked up in front of the truck. The ash from the money swirled up, spun in the air. Then slap, it stuck right on the middle of the windshield. I squinted. The ash spelled out 2 words. Go back. It was clear as day. Can't go back, I said to the air. My apprentice is up ahead. I've got to bring him home. With that, I rolled up the window, shifted gears, hit the gas. The truck rolled slowly through the curve. When it passed where the shadow had been, the temperature just dropped. I got goosebumps all up and down my arms. But that guy in the work uniform never showed up again. Once I was clear of Tiger's Mouth, I checked my rearview mirror. In the mirror I saw like 7 or 8 figures standing at the curve. Shadows all blurry and sketchy. All of them wearing blue work uniforms. They stood in a line, watching my car drive away. I let out a breath. Only then I realized my palms were totally soaked with sweat. First hurdle done. 10 p.m. I rolled into Green Dragon Town. This is the last place to stock up before heading into the mountains. 50 more miles and you hit Blackwind Ridge. According to plan, I was supposed to crash here tonight and take off again when it's light. But when I drove into town, something felt really off. The whole town was pitch black. Not a single light on. All the shops along the street were shut tight. Some even had their signs missing. The wind was blowing dead leaves and trash across the ground, making this rustling sound. I drove real slow, looking for some place to stay. Finally at the edge of town, I spotted a small motel with its lights on. The sign had 4 big red letters that said Peace Hotel, but the first letter was missing its top part, so it read Peace Hotel instead. Peace. Piece of peace. That was a pretty good spin on it. I parked my car out front, grabbed my bag and got out. The motel door was cracked open, with a dim yellow light leaking through. I pushed it open and walked in. Saw some old dude dozing off at the front desk. "I need a room." I tapped on the counter. The old man lifted his head all groggy. He saw me, and paused for a second. "You drove here?" "Yeah." "Where you headed?" "Blackwind Ridge up ahead." The old man snapped wide awake, looked me up and down. "You're alone?" "Yeah, just me." The old man shook his head, pulled a key out of the drawer. "Last room on the 2nd floor. Don't matter what you hear tonight. Don't open the door. Don't open the windows. And definitely don't go outside." "What's up with this town?" I asked. "Why is there no one around?" "There was a mine accident last month. 17 people died." The old man lit a cigarette. "Families came to protest. The boss took off. More than half of the workers left too. Those who were left figured this place was cursed, so they all moved out too." "You ain't scared?" "I'm 70 years old. My son is dead. My wife is gone too. The old man blew out a smoke ring. What else is there to be scared of? But you're still young. Why head to Blackwind Ridge? Lookin' for someone? The old man stared at me for a few seconds, then suddenly cracked a smile. I've seen folks like you before. 3 years ago a driver came through in a bright blue rig. Said he was headed to Blackwind Ridge to find someone too. My heart tightened. And then? The old man flicked his ash. Then his truck was found at the entrance of Blackwind Ridge. He was gone. The cops searched the mountain for a month. Didn't even find a single bone. Who was he looking for? His son. The old man said. Heard he was a college student. Went exploring at Blackwind Ridge with some buddies. Never came back. I slung my bag over my shoulder. Got any hot water in the room? Yeah. But it ain't hot. The old man handed me the key. Oh yeah. If you really gotta go to Blackwind Ridge. Remember one thing. He leaned in closer. Dropped his voice. Don't trust anyone you see. Especially anyone in red. The room was bare bones. A bed. A table. A chair. Yellowed newspapers plastered on the walls. The window half boarded up with wood. I checked the door and window. Both locked tight. Then pulled a small incense burner from my bag. Lit 3 sticks and stuck them in. That's what my teacher taught me. When you step into a strange place, first pay respect to the spirits all around. After that, I gave my face a quick wipe, and lay down on the bed with my clothes on. Been on the road all day. My body was beat. But my mind was totally clear. The wind outside the window kept getting louder. It sounded like someone crying. I don't know how long it was. When I was just about to drift off, I suddenly heard footsteps in the hallway. Tap tap tap. Really soft, but clear as day. It was the sound of high heels. Getting closer and closer. Until they stopped at my door. I opened my eyes. Staring at the shadow under the door gap. Someone was out there. Standing dead still. Time ticked by. Maybe 3 minutes. Then a knock. Knock knock knock. 3 really soft taps. I kept quiet. After a few more seconds, a woman's voice came through. Hey mister. Open up. I'm from next door. My room's light is broken. Her voice sounded young. All choked up. I still didn't move. Hey mister. Please help me. I'm scared. She started crying. This hotel is so damn creepy. I'm all alone in my room. And I'm really freaking out. Her voice was right outside my door. So close to the door panel. I slowly sat up, my hand reaching for the knife at my waist. Hey mister. Just open the door. Let me just sit inside for a bit. She started pounding on the door. Getting harder and harder. Open up. Open the door. Bang bang bang. The door was rattling like crazy. Like it would break in any second. I gripped the knife tighter. Staring at the door lock. If it opened, then out of nowhere, the pounding stopped. And the crying too. Everything went silent, like it was all a dream. I held my breath. And waited a solid 5 minutes. Making sure there was no sound outside, before slowly walking to the door. And peeking through the peephole. The hallway was totally empty. Just dim yellow light stretching long shadows on the floor. I headed back to the bed. And checked my phone. It was 2:17 a.m. The spookiest hour had arrived. I didn't sleep again for the rest of the night. I sat on the bed flipping through my master's handbook on road taboos. About Blackwind Ridge. There was only a single page in the book. Blackwind Ridge was originally called Blackwind Gap. Back in the Guangxu years of the Qing dynasty, mountain bandits had taken over, slaughtering hundreds of merchants passing through. During the Republican era, when they built the road, they dug up countless bones. After the town was established, a car would go off the cliff every month. Locals whispered that ghost soldiers roamed the ridge. If anyone ran into them, they had to get out of the way. And if they messed with them, they were done for. There was a line of small text below. It was my master's note. On the 7th day of the 8th month of the year of the monkey, he crossed Blackwind Ridge with Master Li. They ran into heavy fog, and saw a woman in red blocking the car. Master Li got out to check, and vanished. The next day they found his body 3 miles away. His face was pale as a ghost, with only finger marks on it. Remember, a red-dressed figure in the fog is extremely bad news. The woman in red. I thought about what the old man at the counter said. Don't trust anyone you see, especially anyone in red. So the scary rep of Blackwind Ridge wasn't just rumors. As dawn was about to break, I packed my stuff and went downstairs. The old man was still at the counter, cooking some porridge. How was your sleep? He asked. Not bad. I didn't mention last night's events. How long to get from here to the entrance of Blackwind Ridge? If the road's good, an hour and a half. The old man ladled a bowl of porridge and handed it to me. But you better wait until it's fully light out before you go. Blackwind Ridge. You can't go in until the sun hits the road. Why? The place is heavy with yin energy. The old man lowered his voice. Especially that stretch of road where the ghosts wave. The fog never lifts there all year round. Some say that fog is the anger of the dead. Breathing too much of it will make you hallucinate. I finished my porridge. Paid up, just as I was about to leave. The old man called me back. Kid. I was up all night thinking. That driver 3 years ago stayed here the night he left too. Then what? He left something behind when he took off. The old man pulled out a small cloth bundle from under the counter, said he'd come back for it if he made it. If not, he wanted it given to the next person heading to Black Wind Ridge. I took the bundle. Opened it up. Inside was a pocket watch. An old school brass pocket watch. The cover was all scratched up. I flipped it open. The hands were frozen at 3:44. Engraved on the inside side of the cover was a tiny line of text. How Daddy will bring you home. Chen Jianghua. My hand shook a little. Chen Jianghua. That's old Chen's real name. The driver 3 years ago was old Chen himself. I stood at the entrance of the motel, holding that pocket watch. My heart was a mess of emotions. So old Chen had already been to Black Wind Ridge 3 years ago. The person he was looking for was Chen Hao, but not only did he not find his son, he got himself lost too. At least from the looks of it. Chen Hao's missing again now. So why didn't he tell me? Was he afraid I'd say no? Or is there something else going on? I put the pocket watch away. Got in the car and fired up the engine. No matter what old Chen was hiding, I was already in too deep to back out now. I got the money, so I gotta finish the job. That's the rule. At 8 in the morning, the sun was fully up. I drove out of Green Dragon Town, heading toward Black Wind Ridge. The deeper I went into the mountains, the worse the road got. Some parts had landslides, barely passable. The vegetation by the road got thicker, almost covering the pavement. If I didn't see the occasional abandoned road sign, I'd have thought I was lost. After driving about an hour, fog started to roll in. At first just a thin layer, hugging the ground, but slowly, the fog got thicker. Visibility dropped to under 50 yards. I slowed down, turned on the fog lights and hazards. According to the notebook, the core area of Black Wind Ridge was a valley about 3 miles long, with steep cliffs on both sides. The road snaked through the bottom, with 7 sharp turns. Each one had seen accidents. The worst was the 4th turn. Ghost hand. They said no matter the weather, it was always shrouded in thick fog. Drivers would see someone waving for help in the mist. If you stop or slow down, something bad happens. My master wrote about Ghost Hand in the book. Just go through it without hesitation. Don't look to the sides. Don't listen to any sound. Step on the gas all the way. Life or death is up to fate. I took a deep breath, gripped the steering wheel tight. The fog ahead was thick as milk. The headlights only reached about 50 feet. I turned off the music, rolled up the windows, popped a mint in my mouth, ready to go in. The moment the car entered the thick fog, the temperature dropped, not just in my head. It was actually cold. The dashboard showed it was only 41 degrees outside. Even with my jacket on, the chill cut to the bone. Visibility dropped to under 30 feet. I kept my eyes on the lane markings, holding steady at 30 miles an hour. I took the first turn without a hitch. The second turn came up. I heard a thumping noise from the cliff on the right side. Like someone was knocking on rocks. I ignored it. The third turn. A figure suddenly appeared in the fog on the left side, waving at me. The outline was faint, gone in a flash. I clenched my teeth, pushed the gas pedal all the way down. The 4th turn, the spirit's wave arrived. This was a tight bend almost 180 degrees. The outer side of that curve was a sheer cliff 100 yards down. Not a single guardrail. The road was always damp, so it was covered in moss. Slick as hell. I downshifted early, kept the speed in check. My eyes locked on the exit of the turn. Right when the front of the car was about to swing around, a figure appeared in the fog straight ahead. A woman in a red dress, facing away from me, standing in the middle of the road, her hair long down to her waist, bare feet. Her shoulders were shaking slightly, like she was crying. My heart was pounding hard, but my foot didn't leave the gas. My master told me, a red figure in the fog. You absolutely must not stop. The car kept going, getting closer to the woman. 50 yards out, 30 yards, 20 yards. Just as the front of the car was about to hit her, the woman suddenly turned her head. It was a face so pale it was unreal. Her eyes were like 2 dark voids. The corners of her mouth pulled back to her ears. She gave a creepy smile. She opened her mouth, let out a piercing shriek. Stop the car. Why won't you stop? I squeezed my eyes shut. Stomped the gas all the way down. The tires slipped on the wet road. The rear of the car spun out. I cranked the wheel like crazy. Felt the right tire lift off the ground. In that split second, the car shot through the turn. Back on the road. I opened my eyes. Looked in the rearview mirror. That woman in red was still standing there. But her head had twisted all the way around, staring right at where I was heading. She was grinning. Blew right through that ghostly hand wave. I was totally drenched in cold sweat, but no time to chill. There were 3 more curves ahead. Pushed through, and nailed the rest of the road at top speed. It was 10:20 a.m. I finally drove out of Black Wind Ridge Valley. The fog started to lift, and sunlight came back into the cab. I pulled over in a wide spot, hopped out to check. The rig was good. Just the right tire caked with mud. Must be from when it slid and hit the soft dirt on the shoulder. I lit up a cig. Broke my own rule, but I needed to settle down. After the smoke, I grabbed my phone. Wanted to text Chen to let him know I was okay, but there was no signal at all. Guess I just gotta keep moving. From what Chen said, they found his truck just outside the valley exit. So, if he was still alive, he should be around here. I got back in the car, and drove slow, out of the valley. The road was a lot smoother. About 20 more minutes. I spotted that blue truck on the side of the road. Plate AIGH 318. That was him. It was parked on the emergency lane. Hazards on. Driver door wide open. No one inside. I stopped behind it, grabbed my tool bag and got out. As I got closer, everything matched the photo. Truck in perfect shape. Keys still in the ignition. Dash light still on. His phone on the passenger seat. Wallet and half a bottle of water. Did a full walk around. Tires were fine. Gas tank more than half full. Medical equipment in the back all sealed up. Looked like he just stepped out for a sec. And then he never came back. But I knew it wasn't that simple. I switched on my phone flashlight, and crouched to check the ground. Sure enough, there was a line of footprints right in front of the car. Wet footprints. Starting from the middle of the road, and stretching all the way into the trees by the side. The size and depth of the footprints. It looked like an adult man. I followed the prints into the woods. The ground was damp and soft. So the footprints were really clear. After walking about 100 yards, the footprints just vanished. Not fading away slowly, but stopping dead. Like right at this spot. The guy just disappeared into thin air. I stood. I looked around in place. It was a pine forest. The trees were thick. The light was dim. Everything around was quiet. Not even a single bird chirp. Chen Hao. I called out. My voice echoed through the woods. No response at all. I called a few more times. Still nothing. Just as I was about to head back, I caught a glint out of the corner of my eye from a pine tree nearby. I walked over, and found a phone, picked it up and looked. It was a Chinese-made smartphone. The screen was cracked, but it still turned on. Battery had 17% left. I tried to unlock it, needed a password. Just as I was about to give up, the phone suddenly vibrated once. A text popped up. Dad, I'm at the Black Wind Ridge service area. It's just me. The sender, Chen Hao. Sent 3 days ago at 2:14 a.m. My breath caught. There's no service area on this stretch of Black Wind Ridge Road. Until I remembered a line from my master's handwritten book. Extreme yin place. Mirage from a long line. Not real, not fake. It's the border between yin and yang. Could Chen Hao have stumbled into a place that shouldn't exist? I carried the phone back to the truck. I already had a plan in mind. Since Chen Hao's last text mentioned the service area, I'll go find that service area. But before that, I needed to get some stuff ready. I took cinnabar powder out of the toolbox, and drew a circle around the truck. It was the simplest protection charm, even though its effect was limited, but it could keep some nasty things away. Then I climbed into the cab of the blue truck, and started looking for clues. In the glove box was a driving log, a few packs of smokes, and a road atlas. I opened the atlas, and found the Black Wind Ridge page. Sure enough, about 10 kilometers from where I was there, was a mark saying, Old Black Wind Ridge Service Area. But next to it was an X in red pen. There was a line of small text. Abandoned in 1998. 1998. That was 24 years ago. Why was it abandoned? What happened? I kept searching, felt something hard in the seat crack. Pulled it out to see. It was a pendant. A silver cross pendant. The chain was broken. There were words carved on the back. To my beloved son Chen Hao. Come back safe. From Dad. Chen Jiangwo. June 18, 2019. 2019. 3 years ago. So old Chen gave this pendant to his son when he came to Black Wind Ridge 3 years ago. But Chen Hao clearly didn't have it on him. The chain was snapped. Probably ripped off during a struggle. I put the pendant away. Jumped out of the car. It was 2 in the afternoon. 4 hours until dark. I had to find that abandoned rest stop before nightfall. And crash there for the night. This was the riskiest move. But also the only lead. Before getting in the car, I took one last look at that disappearing set of footprints. Then a sudden thought hit me. What if the owner of those footprints wasn't Chen Hao? What if Chen Hao never got out of the car, but was dragged out by something? Could those wet footprints be left by that thing? I shivered. Didn't dare think more. 4 in the afternoon, I finally found that rest stop. It was hidden in a valley. You wouldn't spot it without looking close. The sign at the entrance was rusted and fallen off. Only the words rest stop were left. The concrete road was cracked. Weeds were growing thick in the gaps. I parked at the entrance, walked in on foot. The rest stop wasn't big. A 2-story main building, with a parking lot and restrooms next to it. The doors and windows of the main building were all gone. It was pitch black inside. The walls were covered in all kinds of graffiti. Most of it had faded. I walked into the main building with a flashlight. The first floor was a lobby. It used to be a diner and a convenience store. Now there's just a few busted tables and chairs, empty bottles and trash scattered on the floor. Burn marks in the corner. Looks like some homeless guys crashed here before. The air smells musty, mixed with the stink of piss. Chen Hao, I called out. My voice echoed through the empty building. No answer at all. I kept walking deeper, past the main hall. Behind it was the kitchen and storage room. The storage door was locked, but the lock was already rusted through. I kicked the door open. The second my flashlight beam hit inside, my blood ran ice cold. In the storage room, 5 people were sitting perfectly straight. 3 guys, 2 women, all wearing clothes from the 90s, heads down, not moving a muscle. I held my breath. My flashlight swept across their faces. Their skin was a pale gray, eyes shut, but their lips were twisted into creepy smiles. They were dead, and had been for a long time. But the bodies hadn't rotted, just dried up like mummies. I started backing away slowly, getting ready to bail. Right then, the guy closest to me suddenly opened his eyes. His pupils were all white, staring straight at me. Then he grinned. Welcome. I spun around and ran, bursting out of the storage room, across the main hall, heading straight for the door. Behind me came thumping footsteps. Those things were chasing after me. Right as I got out of the main building, I froze. The sky had turned pitch black without me noticing, and the parking lot was packed with cars. All kinds of cars. Old-school Santanas, vans, trucks, even a minibus. Every car had its headlights on. But nobody was inside. Where did all these cars come from? They weren't here a second ago. No time to think. I bolted toward my truck. But as I ran, something felt off. The parking lot seemed endless. No matter how I ran, I couldn't reach the edge. A ghost maze. I stopped, forced myself to chill. My mentor said, when you hit a ghost maze, don't panic. Break the illusion. First break your mind. I shut my eyes. Bite my tongue till it bled. Spit a mouthful of blood on the ground. Sky and earth clear up. Evil spirits scatter. The moment I opened my eyes, the illusion vanished. The lot was still that crappy old lot. Just my truck sitting lonely at the entrance. But those guys were already coming after me. 5. No. Now it's 7. 2 more showed up, wearing waiter uniforms. They lined up in a row, walking slowly toward me. Movement stiff, like puppets on strings. I pulled a knife from my belt, held it out in front. I don't want to fight, just let me through. They stopped. The guy in front spoke up, his voice dry like sandpaper scraping. Stay, keep us company. No time. I backed up slowly. I'm looking for someone. A young guy, drives a blue truck. Bros. You guys seen? The 7 of them look at each other. Then the coworker raises his hand, pointing behind the service area. There's a row of employee dorms. He's in there. And with that, they all turn and walk back to the main building, like they just finished some job, not interested in me anymore. I stare at that row of dorms, hesitating inside. This is obviously a trap, but Chen Hao might actually be in there. To go or not to go? Finally I head for the dorms. Since I'm already here, no point in going back empty-handed. Besides, if Chen Hao really is inside, I can't just let him die. The dorm building is super run down, chunks of paint peeling off the walls. I check each room one by one. Most are empty. Just some broken bed frames and furniture. When I get to the last one, I catch a smell. Blood mixed with a rotting stench. The door is slightly open. I push it gently, shining my flashlight inside. There's someone in the room. A young guy curled up in the corner. His back to me, wearing a blue work uniform, with Southwest Logistics printed on the vest. It's Chen Hao. Chen Hao. I call out tentatively. He doesn't react. I move closer slowly, reach out and touch his shoulder. The touch is cold and stiff. I force him to turn around. A twisted face appears in the beam of the flashlight. Eyes wide open, mouth gaping, face covered in black veins. He's dead. At least 3 days dead. But it's not Chen Hao. This is a stranger. Looks like in his 30s. His hand is gripping a work ID tight. I pry his hand open. Pick it up and look. Wang Jigang, driver for Southwest Logistics. Employee number 037. The name Wang Jigang sounded familiar. Then it hit me. He was the missing driver from 3 years ago. The one who worked with old Chen. So he died right here. But that didn't add up. If he kicked the bucket 3 years ago, then who was the driver the innkeeper talked about? The guy who left the pocket watch was obviously old Chen himself. Unless a scary thought popped into my head. More than one person came to Blackwind Ridge 3 years ago. Old Chen and Wang Jigang came together. But only old Chen went back. Or maybe just old Chen's body went back. While Wang Jigang stayed here forever. So where was Chen Hao? Where was he? I stood up. Ready to leave. Just as I got to the door, a sudden crack came from behind me. I turned around. Wang Jigang's corpse moved. His neck twisted at a weird angle. His eyes locked right on me. Then he spoke. His voice sounded like it was squeezed from deep in his throat. Chen Hao is down the well. After that, his head drooped down. And he never moved again. Down the well. What well? I found that well in the empty lot behind the rest stop. It was an old stone well. The top was covered with wooden boards. The boards were rotten. I could kick them open in one go. I shone my flashlight down. The well was deep. I couldn't see the bottom. The walls were covered in moss. A fishy smell wafted up from below. Chen Hao, I shouted into the well. No answer. But there was a faint echo from the bottom, meaning there was space down there. I grabbed a rope from the car, tied it to a tree nearby, and threw the other end down the well. Then I strapped on my tool bag, put on a headlamp, and started climbing down. The well walls were slippery. Hard to get a grip. I climbed slowly. After about 10 meters, my feet hit stone ground. The bottom of the well was bigger than I thought. It's a natural cave. The ground is all muddy. Stalactites all around. The headlamp beam sweeps across. I see a figure deep in the cave. He's got his back to me. Sitting on the ground. His shoulders are shaking a little. Chen Hao. I slowly move closer. He turns around slowly. It's Chen Hao. He looks way thinner. With a scruffy beard. But I recognize him. He's the guy from the photo old Chen showed me. He sees me. His eyes go wide. Who are you? Your dad sent me to find you. I walk up to him. Can you walk? Chen Hao tries to stand up, but his legs give out. And he sits back down. I'm out of strength. Haven't eaten in 3 days. I pull out water and crackers from my bag and hand them to him. He starts wolfing them down. How did you fall down here? I ask. I didn't fall. Chen Hao drinks some water to rinse his mouth. I was pushed down. Who pushed you? A woman in red. Chen Hao's eyes are full of fear. That night, I saw someone waving at Ghost's handpoint. Thought it was an accident. So I stopped to check. But then she suddenly showed up in front of me. And pushed me off the cliff. I thought I was dead. When I woke up I was already here. The woman in red. Her again. So how did you survive? There's food down here. No, there's no food. Chen Hao shakes his head. But every morning something drops through the hole. Sometimes wild fruit. Sometimes mushrooms. I've been living on that. Food drops automatically every morning. That's so creepy. Besides you, is anyone else here? I think of Wang Jigang. Chen Hao's face changed. There's this crazy dude, he's down there too, but hiding deeper. He keeps mumbling everything's gotta die. No way out. Right after he said that, a laugh came from deep inside the cave. Hehehe, another one's here. This is fun. I pulled out my flashlight, shining it toward where the sound came from. A grimy dude crawled out from the shadows. His clothes were all torn up, using both hands and feet. Like some kind of animal. His face was too dirty to even make out. Only his eyes were super bright. Wang Jigang? I asked tentatively. When he heard that name, he froze. Then he suddenly screamed, I'm not Wang Jigang. Wang Jigang is dead. He died a long time ago. Then who are you? Who am I? Who am I? The guy grabbed his own hair. Talking nonsense. I'm Chen Hao. Right. Chen Hao's upstairs. I'm the driver. No. Who the hell am I? He's lost it. I looked at Chen Hao. Chen Hao whispered. He was already here when I showed up. Sometimes he says he's Wang Jigang. Sometimes he says he's Chen Jiangwo. Then he says he's just some driver passing through. Maybe he's been stuck here too long. Messed up in the head. I walked over to the guy. Crouching down. Take a look at this. I pulled out that pocket watch. Popped open the lid. When the guy saw the watch, he suddenly got quiet. He took the watch with shaky hands. Fingering the scratches on the lid. Tears started streaming down. This is the birthday gift I gave Hauer for his 18th. He looked up at me. His eyes got clear for a second. Old Chen hooked you up right. You're a Chen Jiangwo. I was totally shocked. The old dude at the motel said. 3 years ago. So you're the driver who came to Black Wind Ridge. Didn't you go back? Went back. The man gave a bitter smile. The one who went back was him. Not me. What do you mean? 3 years ago. Me and Wang Zhigang came here looking for Hao. The man. Or rather Chen Jiangguo. Said slowly. We saw that woman in red at the ghost wave spot. Wang Zhigang got out to check. She dragged him into the fog. I tried to save him. But I got hit too. He pointed at his own head. It crawled into me in here. Took control of my body. Went back. But my real mind got trapped in here. Like a possession. No worse than that. Something took over old Chen's body. Went back to the real world. And lived as him for 3 years. But the real old Chen has been stuck at the bottom of this well. So the old Chen now. A chill ran down my back. Is it? Chen Jiangguo gritted his teeth. That thing lives off people's fear and despair. He made Hao disappear on purpose. Just to lure me here. Then take over my body. And keep doing evil in the human world. I get it now. Why old Chen hid what happened 3 years ago. Why he knew the dangers of Black Wind Ridge. But still let his son take that road. Why he acted so conflicted when he came out. Because that wasn't the real, old Chen. We gotta get out of here. I stood up. You have to go back. Expose that thing. Chen Jiangguo smiled bitterly. Can't get out. This well is dry during the day. But at night it's a bottomless pit. We tried so many times. The rope's never long enough. That's because you were missing one thing. I said. I unfastened the peach wood talisman from my waist. And handed it to Chen Jiangguo. My master said. In the darkest yin place, there's always a yang gate. This well is the dark eye of Black Wind Ridge. And this talisman is the yang stone. Chen Jiangguo took the talisman. The talisman suddenly gave off a faint golden glow. At the same time, a sound came from the well opening. It's a woman's laugh. Trying to leave. Did you ask me? The three of us looked up at the same time. The well opening. A pale face hung upside down, lowering down. Long hair dangling. Red dress swaying in the wind. It's that woman in red. She slowly crawled down the well wall like a spider. And finally landed lightly in front of us. Up close. Her face looked even creepier. Her skin was white as paper. But her lips were red as blood. Her eyes were completely black. No whites at all. 3 of them. She stuck out her tongue and licked her lips. Enough to keep me fed for a while. Chen Hao got scared and hid behind me. Chen Jiangguo was scared too. But he still stood in front of his son. I gripped my dagger tight. Held it out in front of me. You're the source of all the trouble at Black Wind Ridge. The source. The woman laughed. Her voice was sharp and piercing. I'm just a pitiful soul. Abandoned by my husband. I jumped off a cliff with my kid. Why do you living people get to have all the fun, while I'm stuck in this dark hole forever? So you hurt people. Hurt people. She tilted her head. Her look was both innocent and cruel. I'm just looking for a replacement. Find a replacement, and I can be reborn. That's the rule of the world. What's wrong with that? What about Wang Zhigang then? What about Chen Jiangguo? What did they do wrong? Them. She giggled. They walked right into it. They saw me wave. And stopped the car. Saw me cry and came to comfort me. Men. They are all the same. I get it now. This is a case where she uses grudges from her past life and guise sympathy to hurt people. Move aside. I said. We need to get out. Sure. The woman floats to the side. And makes a go-ahead gesture. As long as you guys can climb out of this well. I look up. The well's walls are slick and wet. No footholds anywhere. The rope we used to come down is already broken somehow. You're messing with us. Chenho says angrily. Yeah. I am messing with you. The woman laughs even harder. I love seeing that desperate look on your faces. Fear. Anger. Helplessness, those emotions are the tastiest. Chen Jiangguo suddenly steps forward. And raises the peach wood talisman. Then try this on. The talisman flashes with golden light. The woman lets out a scream. And stumbles back a few steps. But soon, she regains her balance. Not bad. Too bad though. Not enough. He waves his hand. And suddenly thick black fog pours out of the bottom of the well. From the fog come countless wails. You can vaguely see many figures struggling. These are all the people who died here over the years. Have some fun with my friends. The woman finishes speaking. And vanishes into the black fog. And those figures rush toward us. Back to back. I shout. We 3 immediately stand back to back, forming a triangle. Facing the ghostly figures coming from all sides. Chen Jiangguo holds up the peach wood talisman. Wherever the golden light touches, the ghostly figures back off. But the talisman's glow is fading fast. He can't hold on much longer. I swing my dagger. Every time I stab a ghost figure, they dissipate a bit. But there's too many. We can't finish them all. Chen Hao has no special tool, so he just waves his arms uselessly. At this rate, We're gonna run out of steam sooner or later. Dad. Chen Hao suddenly called out. Your pocket watch. Chen Jiangwo was stunned. Pulled out the pocket watch. The hands on the watch were spinning like crazy. That's when I got it. It's the yin energy messing with the magnetic field. No. Chen Jiangwo stared at the watch. This watch was passed down from my grandpa. They say the casing is made from thunder gold wood. It can sense changes in yin and yang. For the hands to be spinning like that. He jerked his head up. It means there's something super yang nearby. Something that can counter these ghostly spirits. Something super yang in this super yin place. I suddenly remembered a line from my mentor's notebook. Extreme yin gives birth to yang. Extreme yang gives birth to yin. Where yin and yang meet, there's always some treasure. Could there be something hidden at the bottom of this well? Search. I yelled. Look for something glowing. Something hot. We were holding off the shadow ghosts. While searching the well bottom ground. The walls. Behind the stalactites. Over here. Chen Hao suddenly shouted. He pushed aside a pile of rubble. Underneath was a fist-sized rock. The rock was completely red. Radiating warmth. With golden veins on its surface. Red sunstone. I gasped. This is a legendary item. Only found in the core of extremely yin places. It's a product of yin and yang balancing out. To ghosts it's deadly poison. But to the living it's a treasure. I grabbed the red sunstone. And held it up high. The stone burst out with blazing light. Like a tiny sun. All the shadow ghosts screamed in the light. And vanished. The black mist also got chased away. The whole well bottom was as bright as day. The red-dressed woman's screams echoed from the well wall. She was burned by the light. Red Tang fell hard onto the ground from above. His twisted figure wasn't beautiful or creepy anymore. It was all blackened and shriveled up. Like a charred corpse. No way. How could there be sunstone here after he died? What goes around comes around. I walked right up to him. Now send us out to get some rest. The woman tried to fight back. But I pressed the sunstone against her forehead. A puff of smoke rose up. She let out one last scream. Then dissolved into a wisp of black smoke and vanished. Once she was gone. The cold eerie air at the bottom of the well faded fast. And light started shining from the well opening. When we crawled out of the dry well. The sky was just starting to get light. All three of us were totally wiped out. We lay by the well gasping for air. Chen Hao hugged his dad and cried his eyes out. Chen Jiangwo was sobbing too. After resting a bit. We helped each other back to the service area. All those creepy parked cars were gone. Only my truck and that blue heavy hauler were left. Let's roll. I said. Get out of this hellhole. We drove both vehicles. One in front, one behind, leaving Black Wind Ridge. The ride was crazy smooth. Sun was shining bright. The fog was all gone. Even the road seemed way better. At 3 in the afternoon, we got back to Green Dragon Town. At the Peace Inn, I gave the old man at the counter some cash. Told him don't ask anything. Don't say anything. The old man nodded. Took the money. Looked at Chen Jiangwo. You're back. Yeah. I'm back. Chen Jiangwo said. Good to see you back. The old man smiled. Turned and went into the back room. We didn't stick around. Kept on driving. At 8 in the evening, we finally made it back to Chongqing. Instead of heading straight to old Chen's company, I went back to the Tang house first. Took a shower. Changed clothes. Grab a bite. Get some rest. Then I gave old Chen a call. Hey Chen. I'm back. The line went silent for a few seconds. Then I heard that familiar voice. Third bro got the number, huh? Yeah, I got it. Wait for me at your office. I'll take him there. All right. All right. I'll wait for you. Hanging up the call. I look over at Chen Jiangwo and his son. You guys ready? Chen Jiangwo nods. His eyes are dead set. At 10 that night, we head to the logistics company. Lights on in the building. Old Chen's office is on the top floor. We take the elevator up. Inside the elevator, Chen Hao is gripping his dad's hand nervously. Chen Jiangwo pats his shoulder, signaling him to relax. The elevator doors open. Office at the end of the hall is slightly ajar. Light spilling out. We walk to the door. I push it open. Old Chen is sitting behind the desk, looking over some paperwork. When he sees us, his face lights up with surprise. How? You're okay. Thank God. He stands up. Wants to come over and hug his son. But Chen Hao steps back, hiding behind his dad. Old Chen freezes. Son. What's wrong? It's me, your dad. No, you're not. Chen Jiangwo steps forward. Staring at the guy who looks just like him. 3 years ago. You took over my body at Black Wind Ridge. Time to give it back. Old Chen's expression shifts. From surprise to confusion. Then to cold. Oh, it's you. He laughs. His voice turning hoarse. Lucky you're still alive. Surviving that place is insane. Thanks to you. Chen Jiangwo said coldly. Now get out of my body. Why should I? Old Chen spread his arms. I'm loving this body. Got money. Got status. Got a wife and kid. Sure, the wife's, but the son's still around. He looked at Chen Hao, his eyes greedy. What a great kid. Young. Healthy. When I'm done with your old body, I'll switch to his. Live another few decades. How sweet is that? Don't you dare. Chen Hao yelled. Easy there. Old Chen said slowly. You think a piece of red sunstone can take me down? He snapped his fingers, and all the office lights went out. In the dark came a rustling sound. Like tons of bugs crawling. I flicked on my flashlight. The beam swept across the walls, the floor, the ceiling, all covered in black shadows. They had no fixed shape, flowing like asphalt, stinking to high heaven. This is my collection, of despair from Black Wind Ridge. Old Chen, or that thing, said proudly. Everyone who died at Black Wind Ridge left a piece behind. 3 years. I've saved up a ton. The shadows rushed toward us. I pulled out the red sunstone, but it only lit up a tiny patch. Couldn't chase all the shadows away. Chen Jiangwo raised his peachwood talisman, but its golden glow was already fading. Right when we were about to be swallowed, something hit me. Master, right before we got to the woods. Third bro. Remember, the most vicious ghost hides where you least expect it. But even the meanest ghost has a weakness. Its weakness is what it wants the most. What does this ghost want? Chen Hao's body. No. It already has Chen Jiangwo's body. It can switch any time. Then what? Its attention. It steals people's identities. Lives their lives, just to prove it exists. Bro Chen. I shouted suddenly. Do you remember? 3 years ago at Black Wind Ridge, Wang Jigong said something before he died. Chen Jiangwo froze. That thing froze too. What did he say? He said. I stared into its eyes. I'll haunt you even as a ghost. No way. That thing roared. Wang Jigong said nothing when he died. Really? I laughed. How do you know? You had already taken Chen Jiangwo's body and left, unless you never left. You were there watching the whole time. That thing's face twisted. You've been at Black Wind Ridge watching every person die. Not because you like collecting despair, but because you're scared of being alone there. You don't want to reincarnate. You want to come back to the living world. Back to the crowd. Shut up. It screamed. The shadows started shaking hard, getting unstable. You took Chen Jiangwo's body. Not to hurt people. But because of loneliness, I kept pushing. How many years were you alone at Black Wind Ridge? Decades. 100 years. Too lonely. So you wanted company. Right. I said shut up. It lunged at me, but his moves were already off. Now, I tossed the stone sheeprock to Jake Chen, and pressed it on his forehead. Jake took the stone, and slammed it hard on that thing's forehead. In the middle of a blood-curdling scream, black smoke poured out of Jake's 7 orifices. The smoke formed a blurry human shape in the air. Then it popped and burst open, and vanished. Jake's body collapsed to the ground. Kevin rushed over. Dad. Jake slowly opened his eyes. His gaze was clear. He looked at his son, and gave a weak smile. Kevin. Dad's back. A month later. Jake had pretty much recovered. He went to the police station to explain things. Of course skipped the spooky part. Just said they hit a landslide at Black Wind Ridge back then. Will Johnson died. He got hurt bad and lost his memory. Rescued by some mountain folks. 3 years later his memory came back, and he tracked his way home. The cops thought it was fishy, but didn't dig too deep. After all, having him back home was good news. Kevin officially took over the logistics company, and Jake retired, staying home to babysit his grandkid. Yeah, Kevin's wife was pregnant. Due date in March next year. Old Jake. I should call him Uncle Jake now. Came by a few times. Wanted me to be a safety consultant for his company. Train drivers in extreme road conditions. I said no. I'm better off driving alone. I said I'm still not done being scared. Scared. I just smiled. But my master said, some roads just have to be traveled by someone. Guys like us. We're called hazard road guides. Not guiding the cars, but guiding those things, leading them off the road, so the cars behind can pass safe. Uncle Jake was quiet for a bit. Then he patted me on the shoulder. Take care. You too. That night, I had a dream. Dreamt of my mentor Old Wu. He was still the same, with a cigarette in his mouth.
笑眯眯的.
Kid, you did good. Master, did you ever face something like this back then? Yeah, I did. Old Wu blew a smoke ring. In our line of work, everyone's been through it. But remember, no matter how tough the road gets, someone has to walk it. As long as you have a light in your heart, you got nothing to fear. What kind of light? Your conscience. Old Wu smiled. A demon's face with a Buddha's heart. You made it. Then I woke up, and the sky was bright. I got up, washed up, packed my gear. Today I gotta do a long haul. To Yunnan. The client said it's urgent. Got to deliver within 3 days. I checked the truck, filled up the tank, then hung my mentor's peach wood charm on the rear view. Sunlight hit the charm, bouncing off a warm glow. I fired up the engine, shifted gears, hit the gas. The truck rolled out of the lot, merged into city traffic. The road ahead is still long, but I ain't scared, because I know some roads gotta be traveled, and I'll keep going, until the day I can't drive no more.